Yeah, you know, because we're talking about fucking Peter Cushing and shit. Let me tell you what pisses me the fuck off. His performance as Van Helsing is great. His performance
Yes,
in Curse of Frankenstein is much
better.
better. Much
Yeah,
better.
I agree.
I have the stupid 100 horror films, and they have House of Dracula on here. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's
Horror,
popular. Yeah,
horror
whatever.
Dracula.
It's
Okay.
fuck. It's fuckface of Dracula's on here. Real cool or whatever. But like, they don't have Curse, and it's like Curse is way better.
Well,
Also, let me
I just
tell you
looked
about
at
this that pisses me the fuck off
I
really
just looked at
bad.
I just looked at the Metacritic score though. They like the reason for that is that actually the Metacritic score for horror is higher. It's like 64 and this
Yeah,
is
it's
like
not.
53 or something.
It's stupid.
That's
But
insane. I still like horror
this
more, but even with that, I still think that that's way too fucking low.
this has 100 films on it, and it goes from 1920 to 2020. The fact you don't have 10 films per year is fucking stupid. You should have 10 every year. Some of these go from like there's like four of like the 1950s. They don't even have Creature from the Black Lagoon on here. That is fucking stupid. That pisses me off. And they
What do
have
they have
shit
in
like
addition to it?
and they have
But
shit
without
like,
it,
oh yeah, well, we have Seven on here. Seven's not a fucking horror film at all. And
no.
neither is like people will
Silence of the Lambs
say,
on there.
yes, and people say like, oh, Silence of the Lambs can be a horror film. I will give people more credit
There's
to
one
Silence of
scene.
the Lambs. More
One
credit to
scene.
Silence of the Lambs versus Seven. Seven is in no way a horror film at
No,
fucking all.
they're both police procedurals.
Oh yeah, I would 100% say Silence of the Lambs is definitely a thriller,
Yeah.
but I would give it more credit. Like I feel like you could have a decent debate with someone about that being a horror film. You can't with Seven. There's no fucking debate.
Seven's not a horror movie.
Not in any single
It's a
way.
cop. It's a cop thriller. It's a serial killer thriller. You can have a movie without a serial killer. That's not a horror movie.
That just pissed me off.
Zodiac's not a horror movie.
Like if you really wanted to, you could find fucking 10 films from the 1920s. I don't care what you say. You could find more than 10 in the 1930s. Easy. The 40s, there's what? Fucking there's four. There's four films from the 1940s and
are the ones that they included gonna make me
six from the
mad?
50s. That's stupid.
Are the ones included gonna make me mad? Because I know I read this once, but I don't remember it.
No, I mean they're good. I mean, one of the 40s one is The Wolf Man. Like
I mean, yeah, I'll
Wolfman,
back
Cat
that.
People, those are both really prominent films from the 40s. I Walk with a Zombie or Dead of Night. I've heard of them. I haven't seen them, but I know they're popular.
Yeah.
These films are good films, but like if you have 100 years of horror films and it goes from 1920 to 2020, you should try to fill out more of the list and not just have like fucking 100 from the 70s and 80s. Like I love those films, but it's really not cool.
Well, it's like people view. I don't know. I see if you're giving someone that like what's it technically a calendar or something, but like if you're giving people that calendar, you're assuming that they are like fans of just horror in general. So why would you front load it with the 70s and 80s? Because that's like basically trying to give them more accessible movies rather than ones that are really like important. I mean, like that's not true either because the 70s and 80s are very important decades in horror, but they shouldn't be they shouldn't be the body of your calendar
Oh,
because
you know what else is on here that should
there's so much to talk
the
about.
fucking Sixth Sense is on here. The fucking Sixth Sense.
I haven't seen Sixth Sense, but I'm sure it's. I've heard people call it a horror movie. I don't know. I can't really make
people
the
also call
argument.
Silence of the Lambs a horror movie though.
But I can't make the argument. I've seen
I
Silence of the
understand. I
Lambs,
get what you're saying.
so
But it just pisses me off. Like there's film like Lost Boys is in here. Lost Boys is not a horror film, but there's a lot of horror aesthetics and there's scenes that are filmed with horror.
I would say it's
supposed to be a horror.
It's still
probably.
a horror movie. It's still technically a horror movie.
But dude, it just pissed me off. Where I'm looking at this list and I'm like, I love that
something
there's a lot
stupid
of
like
variety.
Zombieland on there or something.
Like I love this shit like Eyes Without a Face on here and Peeping Tom. Like you have a lot of variety.
Yeah, put Peeping Tom on there. A movie that like it's difficult to see because I know they have it on Amazon Prime or it might not be there anymore. But for a long time, like you couldn't access.
Yeah,
because
I haven't wanted to watch it for a long time.
Yeah, like for a long time you couldn't even access the fucking movie. And having that in the calendar is like someone it's gonna take years for you to knock that one off the list because it's just nowhere. You can't get it. So
there's still some films like that. Like I wanted to watch the BBC Dracula from 1979.
Oh, that's the one that's like 3 hours, isn't it? Or 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
3 hours, yeah.
Yeah,
it's really tough to find, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's not streamable anywhere. If you want to buy a DVD, it's $50. Like I'm not.
I wonder if some mad lad put it on YouTube.
I think so, but I don't know about the quality. If I could just rent it, I would rent it, but I can't. But this sheet just pissed me really, it really fucking got to me, man. Like,
Yeah, it's on here.
yeah, but I don't know what the quality. It's like the first thing on there. It says it's like, oh yeah, but I don't know the quality, so I didn't press it.
Yeah, I can't really say it looks that great. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It looks better than I thought it was gonna look like, but
It's just fucking. This just hit me hard. This just fucking infuriated me. Like, I couldn't believe they didn't have Creature on here and they had fucking Sixth Sense. It just is like, really, dude.
I mean, like,
There's not a lot of great horror. Like, I don't care what it says. There's not a lot of great horror films from the early 2000s and the 90s. There are the ones that are good stand out. I'm not saying shit like Scream isn't fantastic to a lot of people, and I still really enjoy the first Scream a lot. But the entire 90s isn't filled with films like that. It isn't. And they don't have sequels on here. They shouldn't. You know, you have one, pick one, stick with it. That being said, if you do that, don't break your own fucking rule because you have Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Pick one. You can't have both. That's not fair.
I agree. Also, if you're gonna have you have to, if you're gonna have one of them on there, you have to have Night.
You should have Night. Not my favorite, but it's the most influential. That I don't know, man. Some of these choices are really good choices, and you think, man, whoever did this sheet did a really good job. Like, I can't believe they put on Phantom Carriage or whatever. But then you have shit like Sixth Sense and fucking Silence of the Lambs and Seven. You're like, really, dude? Like, they have Blair Witch Project. Regardless if you like the film or not, like, that should be on there. You know what I mean? That's really prominent film to have in the late.
I mean, it's an influential movie for better or for worse.
And it's so like they have Record on here.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anyone say that's one of the best, but if it's on there, cool. But if you're gonna have a film from 2007 on here, it shouldn't be fucking Record. It should be Trick or Treat. I don't even love the movie, but that's way more influential. I was talking with Ashley about it. She's like, well, not a lot of people like it. And she's like, you know, I love it. It's like, I don't care if people like it. I don't even love that movie, but people fucking know who Sam is. People know about that film. It's way more prominent. That should be on here.
Oh, they're also sticking Wreck on there probably because I think it's a foreign movie and they're making sure that they get worldly.
Okay, well, they have Shaun of the Dead on here. Great movie, fantastic. I love Shaun of the Dead, but it's a comedy through and through, 100%.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's blurring the lines. It's like saying 100 horror movies. Some of these aren't just horror movies. Some of these are just 100 good movies, and it's too much of blending genres. Yeah. You can have Evil Dead 2 in here. You can have Lost Boys in here. There's enough horror in there for me to be like, okay. They don't have Gremlins on here because if they did that, that'd be dumb. And I'd be like, come on, boy, you're really stretching it now. So why is a film like Seven in here? Why is a film like Sixth Sense in here? Like, they shouldn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of those lists that was just like they pick a lot of movies that are just like really popular movies.
I just think you could probably change a few things and it'd be like really strong.
Yeah. I'm not even trying to be elitist. I'm not even trying to be elitist, but like the reason why movies like Sixth Sense and Seven are on there is because there's a lot of people who really think that they're horror movies, and that's fine. Whatever, you can have an argument.
It's not fine. It's stupid. Seven's not a fucking. Anyone who thinks Seven's a horror film is fucking stupid. I don't care.
I haven't seen.
Seven's a great film, but it's not a horror film.
I haven't seen Sixth Sense, so I can't argue one way or the other. Seven, I would hear an argument. But I don't think it is. I definitely don't think it's a horror movie. I think
you could Ring was on here, like the original one, not the American remake.
Yeah.
You could argue in some scenes that's not a horror film either, but I definitely will give way more credence to that. A lot of films in the 90s are just not structured that much like horror films traditionally. They are more structured like thrillers, but some blend way more into horror than others. And I don't really think.
I was just looking at it. There's a lot more fucking really good horror movies in the 90s than I definitely remember.
You know what else isn't on here that should be? If you're gonna have a 90s horror film, put fucking Candyman on here.
I was about to ask you if Candyman was on there.
Yeah, no, whoever made the list is a fucking racist. I don't care. I'll say it now.
Oh boy.
I love Seven, but
I do too.
A horror film, fuck you.
I also love Seven.
They have cool choices though too. Like they have Demons on here. I think Demons is
hell yeah.
It's nice to have that on there, but
Demons.
Just some of these are just fucking weird. Like a cool choice having on here is Misery too. I think that's a really smart one to have on here.
Yeah.
Saw's on here, obviously. Some of these films I haven't seen, like The Descent.
I haven't seen either.
A lot of the 2000s and laters I haven't seen. I don't like horror films in the 2000s. They fucking usually just piss me off.
There's a couple that I really like, but yeah, I
Oh
agree.
yeah, there's always exceptions to the rule. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say you're a horror film in the 2000s. You're instantly bad. That's just
I
really
would
squishy.
definitely say unequivocally of all the decades of horror that I've dabbled in, which is pretty much all of them. The early 2000s are easily the worst.
Yeah, I would say
They're
followed
awful.
by the 90s though.
I know a lot of people who'd fight you on that. I don't know about that though. Like
I'd love to see anybody try to fight me on that
I can't really think of
physically.
I can't really think of anything of another decade that I think is worse than the 90s though. And that being said,
80s
there's a
is too
lot of
strong,
there's a
70s is
lot
too
of
strong.
there's a lot of movies in the 90s that I really like. So
60s has some really standouts.
straight up
50s has some awesome stuff. For you could possibly say the 40s, but I don't.
no.
I don't know. You could really say the 40s too, because 40s is a lot of remakes, and they're just kind of like worse remakes. Besides like Wolfman.
So it's like the
Also,
pre
another one that's not
2000s.
on here is fucking Jekyll and Hyde. The 30s one is fantastic. Even the 40s remake is really good. Besides Wolfman in the 40s and that the Jekyll and Hyde remake, a lot of 40s films aren't super strong. They may be remakes in the 40s, but they still have more flavor and like love put into them than some of the 90s films. A lot of 90s horror is just like, really, dude. And there are films like, Candyman and Scream that and like Misery that do like stand out, but I don't know.
I think all the Val Lewton horror movies came out in like around the 40s, I think, and those are a bunch that a lot of people are very fond of. So I don't know if I would dunk on the 40s too much.
I would almost they have the first Friday on here, and I get why you have to have the first one, but I mean I wouldn't put the first one. But
I mean, it would be random if they just picked a random sequel,
part four is the
but
most important one though.
yeah, I
I would
agree.
say
It's the
if you had to
best.
ask 100 people that are horror fans what their favorite Friday is, the majority would be part four.
It'd be four or
Wouldn't
six.
wouldn't it be mine? Yeah, I don't. I think it's part four easy.
No, I think it would be four, but I think if you gave people a choice, it'd be four or six.
Yeah, I'd
Because a
say
lot of people
six might be the
love,
second most.
yeah, a lot of people love six and love the character of Tommy Jarvis. So I
Six
think
is
that
my favorite of the
a
film.
lot a lot of people love Tom Matthews. So like
Yeah.
I think that would be easily it'd be easily one or two. Those would be like top one, two, easily by far. I mean, like my second favorite's part two, but
I love part two.
I love part two. I love Potato Sack Jason until his fucking mask comes off. Then I'm not
28
so fond
Days
of it.
Later, the zombie movie.
Yes,
It's
that's
on
supposed to be
here.
really good. I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either.
Danny Boyle though,
Fucking
so
the
it's
fucking
lit.
Babadook is on here.
Haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's
The
really
Witch is
good.
on here, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, from what I understand, it deserves it. If it were
Yeah,
me, if it were me, the fucking Lighthouse would be on there.
Get Out is on here, and if it was my personal decision, I'd put Us on here. But
I
I get
agree.
I get Get Out being on here too.
Yeah, I get like I think Get Out's an awesome movie, but
My favorite.
Us is better in my opinion. I love Us.
Fright Night's on here. Return of the Living Dead, Videodrome, Poltergeist. It's really only the 90s that really does bug me on this section about
Man,
picking
I
and
know
choosing.
I know that Poltergeist is a horror movie. I really don't find it too scary. And despite that though, I love the movie. Like I think it's a great movie. But
Yeah, but neither is Lost Boys.
no, I agree. There's stuff in there that I can see as being creepy. Also, like Poltergeist might have been terrifying in the 80s for all I know. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up then, so but it's just such a wonderful movie. So
Yeah.
and it is trying to scare you. Like it's definitely a horror film structured through and through.
Yes.
So I can't argue it. It's just amazing how like that movie is like just it feels Spielbergian where it's just a fun, entertaining movie.
I can't think of Evil Dead 2 is
Oh, I bet you what's it called? Paranormal Activities on there.
no.
No?
Yeah, that's
What?
another one that you'd think would be on here for the
Are you
2000s.
that's ridiculous, dude. That's
Like
fucking
it's not even
ridiculous.
like I like the movie, but it's
No.
just
But
it's super culturally impacted. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
Blair Witch Project started the whole found footage idea. It's not the first one
Paranormal
to ever do
Activity
it.
rebooted it.
Yeah, it exploded it. Like after that, like everybody wanted a found footage movie in multiple genres, not just in horror. But it became like the easiest way to make a horror movie. It was just, hey, you could just go grab a fucking HD camcorder from Walmart and make a horror movie. So like that is a very important movie. And the fact that that's not on there is insane to me. That's crazy. They got
Record is on
fucking
here though.
oh my god, what's on there?
Record is on here though.
Well, Record is by all accounts a very
it's
scary, awesome horror
no,
movie.
I'm not
So
saying it's a worse film. It's just like it's the same type of film where it's like handed from a recorder, and
Yeah, I just don't know
just
what the discourse around that movie is, so I can't say that it shouldn't be on the list because
no,
I
I would never
haven't
say it
seen it.
shouldn't
And
be on
B,
the list. There's other films on here, especially in the 2000s, that I think shouldn't be on the list. Shaun of the
I'm
Dead technically should not be on the list.
I'm amazed that Invisible Man 2020 is on there. I mean, I know
No,
that it goes all the way up. I'm not going to disagree though. Like I think that movie is awesome, but
I
I'm
think they just wanted the film from 2020, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, there were not a whole lot of options at that
Yeah.
point in the year because everything went to shit after that movie came out. So
Because like I was fucking around and
it
thinking like,
deserves
oh,
to be there though.
they should have 10 films per year. What are they gonna have for 10 horror films in 2020? When this
Yeah,
came
they'd
out,
be
it was
fucked.
2020. It's like,
Is it the last one on the list?
yeah, obviously.
That's their
This,
excuse.
yeah, it just 2020, Invisible Man.
Yeah.
I get it. It is what it is. You know what's another film that's come out this year or last year that's really big that people are talking about? It's going to be on Shudder later. It's called Psycho Gorman.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one. I want to watch that
I
one.
can't wait till Shudder gets it because it looks awesome.
It's a horror comedy. Like it looks really funny
The
too.
design looks like a fucking like fluorescent swamp thing. It looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for it. It looks fucking hysterical. You know that one's gonna be cool.
That would be on here.
Conjuring's on there though, right?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Deservedly so.
Yeah. Oculus is on here. I haven't seen that.
Yes. Yes. Oculus is awesome. I will always sing the praises of that movie.
One that should be on here that deserves
I,
to be on here is Devil's Rejects a lot.
Yeah.
It deserves.
That's not on there.
It is on here. It deserves to be.
It is. Oh, I thought you said that it should have been on here. It's not on there. It deserves to be on there. I'm like, oh, why would you not put that on there? Is House on there?
No, one per. That's part of the franchise,
Yeah, I know. I was wondering if they were gonna
break their own rules again.
Yeah.
No, they keep it. The only ones that break the rules.
Good. They shouldn't put House of Thousand Corpses on there.
Yeah, I don't like House that much. I like the end. That's it.
I like
the only
it,
rule
no.
that gets broken in this film in this list is Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one. We might have talked about another one, but no. As far as having
Dracula 92 on there?
What'd you say?
Is Dracula 92 on there?
Oh hell no.
Okay. Just curious.
No.
Want to know how mad they're gonna make me.
That's it though. I think that's the only one that breaks its own rules as far as
that's amazing. I'm still stuck on how amazing it is that they don't fucking have paranormal activity on there. That's ridiculous.
They have Frankenstein and they have Bride of Frankenstein. So
yeah, that's technically breaking it. Yeah, it's breaking the rules.
That breaks the rules.
It's a direct sequel.
I guess if you should take off Bride,
because if you think about
that creates an entirely new character that's super impactful,
and they're both practically, in my opinion, masterpieces. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
You could say the same for Night of the Living Dead and Dawn too. Though.
Yeah, but I'd also argue that in that trilogy, none of them are direct sequels the way that Bride is to the original Frankenstein.
Well, that gives more weight as why Night and Dawn should be on here and less for Bride then.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like if we're making an argument against Night and Dawn, like it doesn't really
correlate because of
Frankenstein. Yeah, because like I honestly thought when I watched Day of the Dead, because I hadn't seen Dawn of the Dead in so long, that the main character of Day of the Dead was the main character from Dawn, the girl from Dawn. And it wasn't.
No.
I was really confused, but like these are three unrelated films that just take place in the same universe.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's like Cloverfield to 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like those are they're in the same universe, but they're not related to each other. Actually, it's interesting. Is Cloverfield on there?
No, but at the same time, technically, you could say the same thing about Nightmare on Elm Street and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I mean, it's not the same universe really, but it's the same property.
I'd agree.
But if they had that on there, I'd still say that's a sequel. That's dumb.
But there's also a lot of people who, I mean, like, yeah, I agree. But also from the perspective of looking at those two movies, there's a reason why, like, we like New Nightmare. It's still not something that's like widely beloved.
I think it's pretty widely loved, though. I think it's most people's easy second favorite, if not some's favorite.
I think most people.
Fucking Robert Englund said it was his favorite.
Yeah, but I think that most people's second favorite's Dream Warriors, unequivocally. And it's my second favorite. I like it over New Nightmare. Fuck you. I don't care. But like I would still say that like there's still some people that cannot get around the whole meta commentary that movie has.
I don't think it's as meta as people say it is. I don't think it's like distractfully as meta as everyone says.
It's not meta in the way that Scream is. Although without New Nightmare, you wouldn't have Scream because of the way that it is still viewing the genre.
Scream is like Scream isn't infuriating with the meta. It pokes jokes about it, but like New Nightmare takes the idea of like the meta where it's like, hey, yeah, well,
It's
this
melding the worlds.
exists. So like what can we do to have this film, which is about altering reality with dreams, affect the real world? That the
Yeah,
idea of Nightmare on Elm Street lends itself to that very easily.
yeah,
It's not
I agree.
like we're talking about fucking Jason and then we're just talking about how he's on the fucking Arsenio Hall show and then out of nowhere he starts killing people and that becomes a part of a new movie. Like that would be stupid and it wouldn't make sense. It'd be kind of
Yeah,
funny though. But
yeah,
with New Nightmare, like it does make sense with the way this world is built. I'm
yeah.
okay with that. I
I
don't
agree.
think it's that distracting.
No, I don't even think that it's distracting. I think it's just that it's pretty different as
Yeah.
far as storytelling and
Different
just
is good though,
yeah.
as
No,
long as it's
I
not
agree.
distractingly bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's more so like I feel like people can get behind Dream Warriors as their favorite sequel more so because it is more
It's a
similar.
sequel. It's a
Yeah,
more
it's
direct linked
yeah.
sequel.
Also, it has Nancy rather than Heather, and a
Yeah.
lot of people love the fact that they brought back Nancy in such a wonderful way. Um, so that's why I would definitely argue that I think Dream Warriors is most people's favorite sequel. But I would say that technically, New Nightmare is a better movie.
Yeah.
As much as I love Dream Warriors, and I
Well,
fucking
that
love Dream Warriors, but
getting back to it, without a doubt, they're still sequels. You know what I mean?
oh
Like
no, 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 of course,
100%. And same with Night and Dawn of the Dead. They may be a different universe. Dawn of the Dead is still a sequel. It's 100%
yeah.
still a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, as Bride is to Frankenstein.
Actually,
If
you know
you,
what though? If you really think about it though, if I remember correctly, there were rights issues because Romero didn't understand what he was doing when he made that movie. So Dawn technically is in the same universe, but it is a new franchise because of it.
it's still a sequel though.
Yeah, I would
Sequel
argue
to that film.
it's a sequel because
Evil
they had that whole
Dead
rights
has
issue
rights
where
issues
there's
too, and Evil Dead isn't part of the same company that made the first one. It's still called Evil Dead 2 for the sequel though, and it's still
yeah,
a sequel.
but the difference is that um with the rights issues between Night and Dawn, creating literally a splinter of two franchises because of it. I can see why they put Dawn and Night on here. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people argue wrongly, in my opinion, that because of the titles, Night of the Living Dead is more related to Return of the Living Dead than it is to Dawn of the Dead, even though it objectively really isn't.
No. Also, the it doesn't help the fact that the universe becomes more connectedly linked when they have characters show up from certain films and other films later on too. Like I think it's Land of the Living Dead where the character from Dawn shows up again, Tom Savini's character.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, Dawn, but not Night.
No, but
That's my
still,
thing.
like it just showcases this universe is still connected though.
Yeah, but it is connected back to as far as Dawn. That's my thing. Is that
Yeah,
Dawn
but
basically kicks off a
Night is
separate
still
franchise?
Dawn is still a sequel to Night of the Living
No,
Dead.
I agree that by a literal representation it is, but I think
Yeah.
they could skate by in that list on technicality because of that.
If they try to skate by on technicality, that's literally just the most fucking like corporate bullshit I've ever heard though. If you're gonna
I don't
have Evil Dead
disagree.
2 on here and not have the first Evil Dead, you can't have Night and Dawn. Like,
I don't disagree. I'm just saying I'm looking at what I believe is probably their
oh,
mindset, the
I
way that they're
highly
looking at
doubt
it.
that's their mindset. They're
They
probably just like, I think they're both really good.
yeah,
I
maybe.
guarantee they didn't think too hard about it.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know them, but I can see that if they wanted
Same
to
with
take
Why
that
Bride and Frankenstein are both on here. They didn't think too hard. They're both really prominent films.
that one to me is more of a rule break in that regard because
It is definitely more of a rule break.
you can't fucking rationalize that. It is a direct sequel.
Yeah, and
Same
you literally
cast
have to
members,
say
everything.
like, "Hey, I'm putting this on here because she in herself is her own iconic character," which is true.
Despite the fact that she's barely in a movie,
But yeah, but still, that image,
it is still a Frankenstein movie.
yeah,
Well, not Frankenstein. Sorry, the Monsters movie.
it's still a Frankenstein movie too. He's in it.
Yeah, I'm just like
Yeah,
everyone always mixes up Frankenstein and the monster, and I did it myself, so I'm a fake fan. It's okay.
everybody does it though. It's stupid. Even fans do it all the time. Who cares? I
But
think people get mad about it. It's just like they want to get mad about something. Like we all know he's not called Frankenstein, but at the end of the day, like
in pop culture, he is though, which is the
yeah,
problem.
yeah. So just get over it.
Yeah, but the
I don't want to buy a fucking action figure that just says the monster on it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it would
gotta
be
say
Frankenstein's
Frankenstein.
monster.
Yeah, but still, like people just want to get fucking heated about it. Like
Yeah.
I call it the monster every time, but if I'm in a conversation and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I like Frankenstein a lot," I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, do you like Victor Frankenstein a lot?" I'm not gonna fucking be
Yeah.
a dumbass and be like, "Oh, like, you're a fucking loser. Grow up. Leave him alone. Like he's trying to talk to you." People do that shit all
Yeah.
the time. It's like you're
Well,
not fucking clever.
I hate horror gatekeepers. Like I hate that kind of
I just
stuff
say
where it's just like
gatekeepers. We
gatekeepers.
yeah.
I hate people who are like that where they're like, oh, you mean this, right? Like you're treating
Anybody
people
who
like they're stupid.
gatekeeps is a fucking idiot. I don't
Yes.
care.
Fuck
Like
off.
if you like gatekeeping, it's like, hey, I like this a lot. I want to like it too.
Fuck
No.
you. It's mine.
Okay, well, who are you gonna talk to about it? Myself. Yeah, that's what I fucking thought, loser. Have fun talking to
Literally,
yourself.
literally any genre or fandom, if you discourage more people from joining your fandom, you're an actual idiot.
Yeah. Especially
And
when your fandom's a niche thing where like if it becomes too niche, it dies and that's your fault. So good job, asshole.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
people do
So
that shit
like,
all the time. It's like we need to gatekeep our communities. It's like you're gonna kill your fucking community,
well,
dude.
see, I always see like people are like, oh man, like we got to keep the normies out. It's like, bro, guess what? At one point, you're a fucking normie, so shut the fuck up. How about
Yeah,
that?
well, it's like, what's the idea of like not wanting people to get into something you're into?
That's
The,
stupid.
the more like people like to be unique and you like things feeling special to you, but if you're the only person that likes it, guess what? No one's gonna buy it.
Exactly.
Then it's gonna be gone. And then what are you gonna do? Just read the same thing over and over, watch the same thing over and over. It's like, oh, well, and now it's stagnant. Whose fucking fault is that, stupid?
Yeah. Allow people to get into it. And you can educate people without being a dick. Like when someone says to you, like, yeah, I really like Frankenstein, it's like you can get to a point in a conversation where you can explain why it's not that, but you don't have to be a prick about it. Like at the same time, it really
Dude,
doesn't fucking matter though. Like,
I can't
oh, they
imagine.
called the monster Frankenstein. Oh, big fucking deal. Who
I,
cares?
yeah, I can't imagine ever having a conversation where I feel like I have to tell someone they're wrong about that though.
Yeah,
Because
it's a
someone's like,
dumb
I like
thing to argue
Frankenstein.
about.
I'm not. I couldn't ever be like even probably be like, hey, you mean like Frankenstein's a monster, right? Because that's the most like, really, dude. You know what I'm talking about? Like you're
Yeah.
like, come on.
Like I can see like eventually someone learning that on their own, especially.
Yeah,
So like what I mean once they rewatch the movie or whatever and they just see that oh the doctor is called Frankenstein or
yeah.
he's called Frankenstein so obviously he is Frankenstein then like it's not something that needs to be explained, it's something that people will figure out on their own. People are so absorbed into pop culture where it's like oh yeah this guy's the monster's Frankenstein, you know, that's what we call him, like literally fucking what's it called, Alvin and Chipmunks meet Frankenstein.
This is a good movie though.
Yeah, I love Alvin and Chipmunks meet Frankenstein. It's fucking awesome, but they really do just call the monster Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Who cares? No one. We didn't care when we were kids. Why do
No,
we care now?
nobody should care. Like it doesn't
It's
dilute the
not worth getting
character,
angry about. Like,
but it doesn't dilute anything. You know what I mean?
no.
Like it's just a fucking name. And
Like,
like, if you want to look at it metatextually too, it's like you can call him Frankenstein because he's taking on his father's surname. The monster is created by Victor
yeah,
Frankenstein.
it's basically his son.
If he was called Victor, I think it's more appalling, but Frankenstein actually makes sense.
Yes, I can see why people would make that mistake. It's
I
easy.
think maybe I'd be grasping at straws to give that answer, but I think there's still context that would lend it to be correct.
I would say also when you look at the movie itself, while we're off topic on our tangent, but when you look at the movie itself, it's kind of funny because by calling the monster Frankenstein's monster or just the monster, you are dehumanizing a character that the movie is actively trying to humanize.
More so in the original, yes.
Yes, that's what I mean in the
Yeah.
30s. So I find that really interesting that you know the movie takes so much time to try to humanize the character, and we as a society are just dehumanizing it back.
Kind of the point of the movie, though.
I get that. It's just it's fucked.
Yeah, yeah, it is.